I've been trying to just chill and I've been with the with these. That's a bro when I better move. With the deuce, I'm before I go cool. Control on rifle shit.
K-Flock was the closest we would get to Pop Smoke in the last 4-5 years. I just want to be very honest. Pop Smoke did Brooklyn drill. K-Flock was Bronx drill.
Are you still recording, bro?
I just did one. They all my second, my son shoe on.
K-Flock had the Bronx drill scene in a chokehold. Fans called him the next Pop Smoke, a young king ready to take over. But instead of reaching the top, he's now fighting for his life, both in court and in the streets. From dropping bangers to dodging bullets and now federal indictments. What went wrong? Did K-Flock's street life become too real? And could he have avoided all of this?
Are you still recording, bro?
I just did one. They all my second, my son shoe on.
This ain't just about drill music. It's about how one of the most promising rappers went from studio sessions to prison bars. Kevin Perez, better known as K-Flock, wasn't just rapping, he was living what he spit. Born and raised in the Belmont neighborhood of the Bronx, Flock came up in the trenches, surrounded by the same chaos that fueled his music. By the time he was a teenager, K-Flock was already building a name for himself on the drill scene. His energy, unmatched. His flow, straight disrespectful. And his style, it had fans calling him the second coming of Pop Smoke. Pop Smoke brought drill to the mainstream, but K-Flock gave it that gritty Bronx flavor. Tracks like Being Honest and Is You Ready turned him into a local legend. People said he was next up, maybe even bigger than Pop Smoke. K-Flock was the closest we would get to Pop Smoke in the last 4-5 years. I just want to be very honest. But being the voice of the streets came with a price. And for K-Flock, that price was heavy. Flock wasn't just rapping about the streets, he was still in them. And the drama followed him everywhere. Fights, arrests, even shootouts. K-Flock's life looked more like a drill video than a rap career. In December 2021, K-Flock's name hit the headlines in the worst way. Outside a Bronx barbershop, a man named Oscar Hernandez was shot and offed. Footage of the incident shows an individual said to be K-Flock and an associate walking past the barbershop, with Hernandez exiting the barbershop and walking toward the rapper. After what appears to be a brief exchange between the two parties, Hernandez was shot multiple times, prompting other patrons who had exited the barbershop to run back into the establishment. Flock turned himself in days later, claiming self-defense. But with video evidence and witnesses, the case wasn't looking good. He was facing first-degree MDR charges. And just when it seemed like things couldn't get worse, they did. But before we even get to that, you need to understand who Flock really is. K-Flock isn't just a name in the drill rap scene. He's a force of nature straight out of East 187th Street, reppin' the SevSide Blood set. Growing up in the belly of the Bronx, he found himself locked in a deadly war with the Young Gunnaz, aka YGL. These streets weren't just home, they were battlegrounds where survival meant everything. But let's not get it twisted. Flock didn't just make noise in the streets. He brought that same fire to the mic, taking the Bronx drill scene to new heights. From 2020 to now, he's been on a trajectory that had people comparing him to Pop Smoke, the drill pioneer who set the world ablaze. And honestly, Flock's got the potential to do the same. But none of this would have happened if it weren't for his homies, B Lovey and Dougie B. K-Flock. B Lovey and Dougie B go way back, like Sandbox days back. These three grew up together, hitting the same schools, sharing dreams, and navigating the chaos of their environment. But while Dougie B and K-Flock were out in the streets, B Lovey was already thinking ahead, playing with bars and bass. He saw something in Flock and pushed him to hit the studio. It wasn't just about music, it was about escape. They all knew the streets only led to two places, a cell or a grave. Flock and Dougie learned that lesson firsthand when they ended up behind bars. It was there, surrounded by concrete walls and barbed wire, that Flock made a promise to himself. When he got out, he'd go all in on the rap game, and he wasn't going alone. Dougie B was coming with it. When K-Flock dropped his first public track, FTO, in May 2020, it was game over. The track, a remix of 22 G's Blitzkrieg Gang Freestyle, wasn't just a song, it was a statement.
I've been trying to just chill and I've been with the with these.
Flock was here, and he wasn't playing. The streets and the industry started paying attention as he followed up with back-to-back bangers like Op Spotter with B La V and Speed Racing. But it was Brotherly Love featuring his day ones B Lovey and Dougie B that put them all on the map.
That's a pro when I better move. With the deuce, I'm before I go cool. Control on rifle shit.
By summer 2021, Flock was a certified problem in the drill game. Being honest, one of his rawest tracks showcased his pain and hunger, earning him a remix with Chicago drill legend G Herbo. Flock wasn't just rapping, he was living his lyrics. His flow, cadence, and emotion were unmatched, making it clear he was a star in the making. Despite his rising fame, K-Flock couldn't shake the streets. They were a part of him, as ingrained in his DNA as the beats he spit on. Flock wasn't just rapping about ops, he was out there. Live on IG, sliding through enemy territory, hopping out the whip, and confronting rivals head on. He wasn't out for clout, he was out for blood. This wasn't some act. This was K-Flock, the real life driller. And let's be real, that's what made him different. His music hit harder because it wasn't fiction. Flock lived every bar he spit. But living that life came with consequences. The beefs weren't just online, they were in the streets where lives were on the line. One of K-Flock's most infamous rivalries was with his own blood. D-Thang, a YG's banger, wasn't just a distant cousin, he was an enemy. Their beef wasn't just about sets, it was personal. On his track, Is You Ready?, Flock fired a shot that had the streets talking. Go ask my ops, it get ugly. I could do ish like Ice did to Sonny. The bar was a reference to Paid in Full, and it hit home, literally. D-Dan caught the subliminal and clapped back, confirming their family feud. The tension between SevSide and YG's only escalated from that, with each side losing soldiers in the crossfire. The beef turned deadly when J Rip, a 13-year-old SevSide affiliate, was gunned down in July 2021. His death was a devastating blow, but SevSide wasn't about to let it slide. Just hours after J Rip's M-Dare, SevSide struck back. The target? Ramon Gil Medrano, aka Ragas, a YGZ affiliate who had been dissing K-Flock online. Ragas got his wish for smoke, but it came at a price. SevSide's retaliation was brutal and swift, a reminder that the streets never forget. This cycle of violence defined K-Flock's world. For every loss, there was a get back. For every diss, there was a response. And when the feds hit him with RICO charges, it wasn't just about one M-Dare. They were painting him as a central figure in a criminal empire. In February 2023, the Department of Justice announced the indictment via a press release listing the identities of the 8 defendants who were allegedly members of the SevSide and Third Side gangs based in the South Bronx. According to the feds, the crews are accused of attempted M-Dare and assault with a dangerous weapon arising from 7 shootings committed in the Bronx between June 2020 and February 2022. Of the 8 defendants named in the indictment, 6 were already in police custody, while 2 were yet to be apprehended on those charges. Over a span of several years, the members of these gangs allegedly terrorized neighborhoods in the Bronx and Manhattan by unaliving and shooting other people. Through these charges, we'll hold SevSide and Third Side members responsible for plaguing our communities with gun violence. The U.S. Attorney Damian Williams said, now it wasn't just state time on the table. Flock was looking at federal charges, racketeering, conspiracy, and M-Dare in aid of racketeering. And if convicted, he could be gone for life. Fans and critics alike can't help but ask, what if K-Flock stayed out of trouble? Could he have been on Pop Smoke's level? Some say he had all the tools to dominate, while others think the streets had too tight a grip on him. Not Pop Smoke level, but definitely #1 in drill. One fan commented, I'm not biased. I'm saying K-Flock would have been more successful if he wasn't locked up from outside alleged activities. However, Pop Smoke was putting NY on the map worldwide, so Flock would have managed to accomplish, a second fan added, while a third fan wrote, probably not, but he was def just a level below that, and could have def been the new top dog in the towns going forward. He def had mainstream appeal. He was on a hot streak right before he got locked for it. And also gotta remember, he never dropped a project and didn't have that many songs out in general, so anytime he dropped it was a big deal during that time. There's even speculation about the music they could have made together. Fans remixed their tracks imagining what a collab might have sounded like. But instead of working together, K Flock is working on surviving behind bars. You see, Pop Smoke's rise was tragically cut short, but his music lives on. Pop Smoke, born Bashar Baraka Jackson, was from Canarsie, Brooklyn. Not the Bronx, but the Burrs are all family in the drill scene. He came up fast, with his deep voice and unapologetic swagger, grabbing attention from his first track, MPR. But it was Meet the Woo in 2019 that cemented his place as the king of New York drill.
Baby girl, come and meet the Woo. Big knocking on my butt.
Pop wasn't just making music, he was building an empire. Tracks like Welcome to the Party and Dior weren't just street anthems. They became global hits. His ability to blend UK drill beats with Brooklyn grit was unmatched.
Baby, welcome to the party. I'm off the
By the time Meet the Woo 2 dropped in 2020, Pop Smoke was no longer just a local hero. He was an international star. But fame wasn't enough to separate him from the streets. He moved differently, of course, rolling with a tight crew, but he still kept that edge, that hunger, like he was fresh out the projects. And that's why people loved him. He never forgot where he came from. Pop was on his way to changing the game, expanding drill's reach into the mainstream. Tragically, that journey ended when he was offed in a home invasion in February 2020, just as his career was hitting its stride. Fast forward to K Flock. Like Pop, he came from the struggle, using music as his outlet. But while Pop had started to move smarter, Flock seemed determined to keep one foot in the streets. Flock's style wasn't as polished as Pop Smoke's, but that was the point. He was a product of the Bronx drill scene, where chaos and creativity live side by side. Tracks like Being Honest and Brotherly Love showcased the vulnerability that made him relatable. He wasn't just rapping about ops and bodies, he was rapping about the pain, the loss, and the survival. But K Flock's rise came with a cost. Unlike Pop, who was starting to outgrow the streets, Flock seemed trapped by them. The same streets that gave him his voice were the ones pulling him back into the cycle of violence. Pop Smoke and K Flock are two sides of the same coin. Both were young, hungry, and undeniably talented, but they played the game differently. Pop understood that the streets were a stepping stone, not a destination. He had a vision, branching out into fashion, acting, and collaborations with artists like Travis Scott. Pop wasn't just a drill artist, he was a brand. K Flock, on the other hand, seems like he's still trying to figure it out. His talent is undeniable, but his loyalty to the streets might be his downfall. While Pop Smoke was learning to navigate the industry, K Flock was live streaming himself in enemy territory, inviting smoke instead of avoiding it. Pop Smoke's death was a tragedy because it was out of his control. He was on the cusp of something bigger when his life was taken. K Flock's story feels different, like he threw it all away before he even had a chance to shine. You see, here's the thing about the streets, they don't love nobody. K Flock's music put him on a path to greatness, but his lifestyle kept pulling him back into the same cycle. Even his own fans warned him to focus on the music, but Flock seemed determined to keep one foot in the streets. Now, he's sitting in jail, fighting charges that could put him away for good, and the Bronx is left wondering what could have been. K Flock had all the potential in the world, a voice for the Bronx, a star in the making, but potential means nothing if you can't escape the streets.